Hello, everyone. Happy, glorious Wednesday. Yes, yes, yes. Here we are again, your favorite friends on a Wednesday. We're going to learn a little, talk about business, be inspired by the day. If this is your first time joining us, my name is Sadie Uribe. I'm a Los Angeles Regional SBD media producer. The SBDC is a national program with over 1,000 locations across the country, helping to stimulate economic growth through business advising and development. We offer no-cost services to the local businesses through funding provided by the U.S. Small Business Administration, SBA, and from the California Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, Go Biz. The Los Angeles Regional Small Business Development Center network serves small businesses throughout Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, and Ventura counties. What do? We offer no-cost business advising, meaning that you can meet one-on-one via phone or Zoom to address your specific needs and challenges. And we also offer amazing programming such as this wonderful show and workshops to help to adapt and grow your business. So on that note, I'm going to say hello to my favorite person over here. Lori, how are you, my love?
Sadie, you get better at that every week, doesn't she? I mean, I just think you are getting like perfect in your announcements. I'm so impressed. You bring such a wonderful, upbeat message to the show, and I appreciate it. Hello, everybody. Are you ready for another fantastic show? So let me go ahead and get going and share my screen today. So I was just saying to Sadie, I cannot believe that it's like middle of November. I don't know how that's happening, but time is flying by us. So I've got the December webinars already up, and I've got those to be put in the chat for you. So you've got the links. It'll be my last financial series for the year in December, but of course they'll be back in January. I get so many wonderful results from people who go through, especially session 2 and session 3. They learn how to make the models in order to have better control over their finances, and then they know how to make course corrections when situation comes up. So if you haven't jumped in on any of those, please do so. Next week, I'm going to have Clarissa Wilson on the show. She's been a regular Nerdy Number Lovers LLC. You just got to love that name of her company. I'm going to have Clarissa talk about a whole lot of different things, but I thought we would also touch on accounting software. I know I use Xero now. She uses Xero. She uses QuickBooks. She has a familiarity with a lot of the software because she has a ton of clients doing different things. So I want to talk about software as well as organizing and in checking your internal numbers to get ready for what's right around the corner, tax season. Clarissa also is a big proponent of using spreadsheets when you don't have a lot of transactions. And I believe in that wholeheartedly. Getting a software program at the beginning is not always the best answer, especially for people who aren't familiar with the software. So those are kind of the 3 topics we'll talk about, and of course, any other questions and discussions that you guys want to have. Now, November 27th is the Thanksgiving week, and I was just talking to Sadie before the show. When it's a holiday week, I used to always think, well, I'm taking the day off. I'm out of here. But I know you guys don't like that. You want to have your fix. So instead of having a guest come on, and some of you are not going to be around, I don't like the guest to not experience a full audience. So we're going to have another Lori, whatever the audience wants to ask me. What would you like to talk about? And as always, I think, well, we'll talk for 10, 15 minutes because we won't have that much to talk about. And then we talk, beyond the hour, right? So that's what we're going to do the last week of November. Now, for my Lori talks today, my Lori wisdom. Now, to you guys that tuned in last week when we were talking with Elaine, there was a section that we were discussing competition. And we were talking about how the younger entrepreneurs aren't necessarily seeing competition as a bad thing, and not even in the light that I must compete with you, but rather they're going out with their competition and they're teaming up and they're creating relationships with them and they're working with them to see how they can better each other and create a product or a service that's unique because they're combining talents. And they're doing it in these loose loose partnership type relationships. And I say loose, not to be like a bad word, like they're not saying, let's go out and form a company and do equity. No, they're getting together and they're doing events, or they're doing certain products, or they're teaming up locations. It's really wonderful thing that I'm seeing. And I talked recently with three hairdressers that are just doing sole props together under the same location and figured out an agreement between themselves. And ever since this conversation last week, I must say the concept of competition has not left my mind. Every day I think about it a little bit more. So that's kind of my talk today. And I don't know if I necessarily have a great point I'm trying to make, but you guys can tell me in the chat if what I'm saying is resonating. I think in the olden days, and this was mostly among larger companies that had to fight for market share. In order for a big company to grow, it has to steal a tiny little bit of market share from another company. So it was remove competition, beat competition, overcome competition, right? All of these words. And then unfortunately, with this language being said in the larger companies, much of the language that's said in large corporations gets unfortunately translated down into the small business community. And so the small business community has come in with that same mentality, and often to the defeat of both companies. And what I mean by the defeat of both companies, I see where when a small business tries to take on the competition and they get in price wars, neither of them have the profit margins to substantiate that, and they both go down or they both don't make money. So they start competing in a very unhealthy way, where large companies, be it, say monopoly or not, I'm not going to get into that world, but all you have to have is the price of gas go up and every airline increases their ticket price. You hear that, tin's going to go up. Every manufacturer that uses tin in their cans, like a can of Campbell's soup, they all go up and they do it together. Well, part of it is, yeah, we aren't going to talk about that. I don't know enough to even say whether they're doing it together and behind closed meetings. That's not my purpose here. Part of it is the CFOs know they need to increase prices. But when a small company has a price increase, they take it on themselves, they decrease their profit margins, and then they fight amongst themselves and they end up hurting. So what I'm seeing and happily seeing more in the marketplace, and my thoughts on competition is, what if we look at it different? This is my whole point. What if we look at our competitors different? What if we recognize, okay, they're doing a similar thing. I recognize that. Assess, well, what are they doing? How are they doing it different? And get away from our ego and say, how are they doing it better? How are they doing it better than me? How do the customers like it? And then we can rise up. We can become better. We can all, competition, I think, at its core is to elevate all to become better than who they even thought they could. That's the goal of running a marathon. It elevates you to pull that out of your gut and run that extra mile, right? And then another choice I'd like to bring up, or change course. Maybe you say, okay, they're competing. I can't compete on price. They're doing a really cool thing. Let me not offer this product and let me offer this product instead. So I think if we view competition in a complete different way and we look at it to elevate us, to understand and do a course correction if needed, it is a good thing. So that's my little rant for this morning on competition. You'll have to let me know in the chat if anything I said makes sense or resonates with you. Now let's get to today, which I'm very excited to welcome to the show, Chef Derrick Spears. He's the founder and CEO of V&D'S Risotto Butters LLC, which is located in Van Nuys, California. Derrick is a graduate of the Culinary Institute of America. He has received the James Beard Honors and was an executive chef at CBS Studios. Derrick has always had an interest in blending great food and flavors. This curiosity led to the development of 5 different flavors of butters with cooked risotto, and he's going to tell us all about that. Risotto Butters LLC was opened in 2022, very new company. And as is common with all entrepreneurs, Derrick has experienced up and down being a business owner. And Derrick is here today to share his experience, his expertise, and resonate with all of you out there that are in that same place. Derrick, welcome to the show.
thank you, Lori. I appreciate it. Thank you
It is
very much.
so, so good to have you. Now I gotta tell everybody, so what happened is Derek's been in the audience, right? Derek reaches out, sees my email, I give it to you all the time. Derek reaches out with a question, right? Answer the
Yes,
question. I'm talking to Derek we were talking before the show. I was like, what a kind, wonderful person. He is so humble and he is
thank you.
just so authentic. I want him on my show. And so to your support, I saw the look on your face, Derek, when I said, "How about coming on the show?" You were completely, utterly shocked. And I
I
am
was like,
so I I know he was like took back. I'm like, seriously, I want to, I want you to have on the show. And so the excitement I have to have you on the show today is you are authentic and you're also getting started. And I know that's what resonates so much with the audience. So I know that we're going
yeah,
to have a honest and open conversation. So first,
yes.
take us back. How did you get interested in food and your pathway? Was it always that way? Give us the interesting background that always starts us off on a conversation.
Wow. Yeah. So literally I was a high school student and you know, I was growing really fast and my mom was like, you're just growing out of your clothes so fast, and I can't keep up with, buying you shoes, buying you clothes. She was like, you got to get a job. And and sure enough, I worked on the weekends. I worked on the weekends while I was in high school. My last 2 years of high school, I worked. I started working when I was 14 years old, and I worked at a farmer's market. And there was a gentleman who had a part of the market, and all he sold was watermelons from Georgia, right? So imagine this 14-year-old kid going to the market, hoisting all of these watermelons, I'm 14 years old. These watermelons, they weighing 60 and 40
Yeah.
pounds. And, this little kid, but I was earning my own money. I was really earning my own money. And back then, right, I don't want to tell my age or anything, but back then, the minimum wage was 2.90 an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, it was 2.90 an hour. So I started working then, but that's where I really got introduced to food. After that, I worked at some places in Detroit. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan, and I worked some really great restaurants there. And then that's when I started. I was like, oh, okay, I could be good at this. And then that's when it developed into a passion for me, and that's when I went to the Culinary Institute in Hyde Park, New York.
You
Yeah.
know, every time I ask somebody to tell me the background, it's always fascinating and unexpected. And it's amazing how these little things that happen to us in our life lead us down
Yes.
pathways that at the time you'd have no idea. I had
Yes.
started working when I was probably 8 or 9 because I come from a farming community. And what do you do when you're a kid? As soon as you can pick beans, you're in the field. You're in the field in
You're
a
in the
kitchen,
field. Yep,
right?
exactly.
But
Yeah.
you're as soon as you're walk down this, path and start putting these things in a basket, right? And
Yes.
it was a hard upbringing, I tell you, it definitely was. But I think when you start working in the capacity, it really builds a discipline and a character. And my last comment on that, I remember years later listening to Stephen Covey, and he was talking about you can't cram on a farm, like you can't cram for an exam on a farm, and it creates
Right.
a structured discipline. And I think anytime
Yes.
you're around something like food farming, you understand that you have to have a structured discipline. You can't just make up for it suddenly.
No, you can't. No, you can't. Yeah. So, I want to, I want to first say really, thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate it. And last week really resonated with me because I actually reached out to, I want to, hope I'm saying her name correctly. Her name is Elaine Rodriguez.
Yep, correct.
Okay. And she mentioned something, and I said, okay, I'm going to reach out and see if I can actually reach out to this company. She mentioned a company, it's Neighborhood and Friends.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, let me shed my ego here and reach out and see if I can actually get my product, into their front store.
Yeah.
So I'm still trying to work with them on seeing if I can get my product in their store. Yeah, but the whole thing of collaborating is it I think it's a good thing instead of the competition, the competition between companies, but the collaboration, because basically it's still a networking tool. That's what it is.
It
It's a
is.
networking tool. Yeah. So
Thank you for
I
telling us that. And it makes me feel happy that I'm doing something that is creating situations that people can
yeah,
connect. And I guess too, going back on the farm, we never said, well, they're raising beans, so we can't raise beans. We just didn't think in those terms. And because I lived in upstate New York, where it's really bad weather a lot, our
yeah,
neighbor could be our savior when those storms hit. So we just didn't think about anybody being a competitor and enemy. It was a community that just shared everything together. And I really do see especially the younger entrepreneurs going towards that mindset. And I think it's just healthy. So congrats, and we'll keep your fingers crossed for you to be able to get in that store. So walk us through, you get into culinary school. You didn't jump out of culinary school and become an entrepreneur. You went down a
no,
different
I did
pathway. So
not.
yeah, you did not. So fill us in.
No.
So you get through culinary school. What happens next?
So I just go on, like, literally, how they call them binges, right? But I went on a culinary binge, and I went from literally from New York to Seattle to Chicago to Atlanta to Florida
Wow.
to I was in New York, so I did the New York thing. So I went and touched all four corners of the United States, and I wanted to work with some really great chefs. And so that started me on my path. That started me on my path of cooking, working in great kitchens, and coming to California. I've been here, for about 20 years now, and like literally, it's just, man, this is like the mecca if you want to open up your own business, really, and get the experience and get exposure. Everything is not peaches and cream, but definitely this is the place if you want to do your own business.
You know what I find interesting about your story, and I've said this a million times on the show, so many times I'm talking about the just out of school entrepreneurs right now, just out of school entrepreneurs,
Yes.
because the entrepreneur, Hollywood entrepreneur, as I like to call it, has become such a phase and such a craze, I should say, not the word phase, a craze. It's leading a lot of them to believe that they get out of high school or college and they jump right into it. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but I'm saying there is a benefit in going and working for someone for a while because you get exposed to experiences
Yes.
you wouldn't have on your own. And I think it makes you a stronger and better entrepreneur. And time again, when we've had people on the show and I ask this question, they talk about a number of years spent working in their field in other capacities before they launched and the experience and discipline that brought them to the launch phase. So I love that you're sharing that as well. Any thoughts
Yeah.
on how much that actually is helping you now rather than if you just out of culinary school jumped on it your own?
Yeah, like I said, I've been here for 20 years, and I found out that, my path along the way, right? I did work at Williams Sonoma stores, and once again, I lived in Atlanta. I worked in Williams Sonoma stores. It taught me customer service. It taught me how to handle money. It taught me how to handle difficult situations with customers. And I also worked at Macy's. I worked for Macy's for years. I would say probably about 7, 8 years. And Macy has this logo. It's called Macy's Magic, right? And like literally, the M stands for something, the A stands for something, the G stands for something. And I carry that with me, even though Macy's is not even part of food or anything, but they have a customer service technique that I stick to, and meaning that the customer is like almost 99% right all the time. That 1% is you trying to figure out how to satisfy the customers still. That 1% is you trying to figure out how to retain that customer, how to gain their trust. It is it's whatever that whoever came up with that slogan is really, it's just a like the foundation of customer service. But once again, Macy's has nothing to do with food service, but their customer service techniques are just, to me, is by far none is a good technique for somebody to actually study.
Yeah.
So, but my business really, like I started it 2 years ago, but once again, I've been in the field for about 30, 35 plus years. And like literally, I still have those struggles, the beginning of business opening struggles, learning this, trying to find out where I'm going to get marketing, trying to find out how to build my clientele. I'm still learning that.
And we're going to go through a bit of those. I want to go back to the Macy's thing for a bit because you shared something on the when we were talking on the phone, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Derek, in their process. And by the way, I love backing up even one more step. I think when we
Yes,
take best practices from whatever our experiences, they don't have to align with what we're doing, but when we see a best practice and we bring it into our existence, that's where we
yeah,
become unique because the best practice is across all platforms. And I think you said something to me like their first answer wasn't just here's your money back. They were trying to satisfy it, but they would have something like a coupon to buy different. So a lot of times, small
yes,
companies, when the customer gets upset, their immediate thing is hand the money back, which harms them sometimes, right? I'm not saying
yeah,
there's not situations we do need to hand the money back, but can you speak for a second how Macy's cleverly did it where they were satisfying the customer, but they were still kind of watching their bottom line at the same time, if I
yeah,
got it
yeah,
right? I have that
because
right?
yeah, yeah, because the first thing is like let's say the holiday season is coming up right now. And I just remember that they would have us have coupons. They always are sending out coupons as well in the mail. I still get them myself, but the whole thing of it is too, it's a technique. Okay, you're working at the cash register. You got about 15 people in the line. The first thing you do is, hey, can you guys be patient? I'll get to you. You're making sure that you acknowledge
Knowledge.
everybody that's standing in the line, right?
Acknowledgement's
And
so important. Put that in the chat, Sadie. I think that is number one. Acknowledge people's emotions and expectations. That will,
exactly,
that's for employees, partners, anything. Acknowledgement's so
right.
key. Please continue, Derek.
Yeah. And to me, that carries over into my business because I want to acknowledge anybody that has reached out to me, email, voicemail, through my website. I want to acknowledge them and let them know, hey, I noticed that you at least gave me some kind of attempt to maybe see my product, maybe ask me questions, maybe wanting to visit my facility to see how I make my product. There's some kind of customer interaction there
Yeah.
that you want to retain the customer, or you want to keep them interested in coming to see your company or your product.
Yep,
Definitely.
absolutely. Such a key
Definitely.
part. So as you go down the road, you now are saying, I am going to start a company. And I don't know, we got a chicken and egg question here, food, so it's
Yes.
appropriate. Did you create the unique product, which you're going to tell us about, and then that caused you to launch the company? Or did you launch the company to create the real product? Let's pull all this together. How did it come
Sure.
about?
So, uh, and in my travels, I worked at an Italian restaurant, and like literally the chef, he pounded risotto in my head, like literally how to cook it, how to store it, how to do all these things with risotto. And if you're not familiar with
And I'm
risotto.
not that much. Tell us what risotto is for those like
Yeah,
me who don't
risotto
know a
is
lot about risotto.
so risotto is a short grain rice that actually is one of these simplest things to cook, but it's one of these things that can be destroyed as well, right? But it's in the rice family. It has a lot of starch inside of that rice or that short grain rice. So chef pounds that in my head, and I go, I worked on these flavors for about at least 8 or 9 years now.
Okay.
And I worked on the recipes. I worked on, the technique, folding the risotto and the butter, going to get the milk from the cow out in Ontario, California, because it's illegal to sell milk from a cow in California. So how do I get the milk? I gotta go milk the cows. Yes, I gotta go milk the cows. But the whole the whole point of this is that how do I get how do I get my own product to be the product that I want it to be? And I only can say this to everybody that's out there. Discover, discover, discover. Discover how you're going to make your product be as authentic as you want it to be, no matter what everybody else is saying to you. Oh, you need to go here, go here, go here. But you really have to go with what's in your gut and say, nope, I'm going to do this because my website, I'll just take, for instance, my website. Everybody was like, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this. I know I need to do that, but yet and still, I'm building my own website. I built my own website, like
Awesome.
seriously, and
I know you
it
had told
is,
me.
it's not the best, but guess what? Somebody can easily find me by typing in my information, and my website will come up, and you'll get a great product from me myself of what I've built since. Like I said, I've worked on the recipes for about 8 years. My business has been in existence for 2 years. So to me, that's like 10 years invested. And the thing that I can say is don't quit. Do not quit.
I agree. I love how authentic. Once again, you gave me a new line. So when anybody says, "Well, I can't figure out," I go, "Listen, I have a client that milked the cow." Okay, that's going to be my newest thing. Sadie, put that in. Nothing fails. Just go milk the cow. Okay, that is going to be our slogan, guys. But did you go milk the cow? She didn't try anything. But anyway, we got to stop here and bring Sadie. Give us some pictures, Sadie. We got some pictures to show you. Let's see some pictures here. Pull up something. I love that. Nothing fails. Just go milk the cow.
Let's
That's
go milk
awesome,
the
guys.
cow.
Okay, Sadie, show us what you got on some pictures, and Derrick, run us through what we're looking at here. Let's have some show
Okay,
and
sure,
tell, guys. What are we looking at,
sure.
Derrick?
I'm not seeing pictures. Where are pictures at? And let's we hesitated. I think we hesitated a little bit there.
Yeah,
Do
you
we
might.
see the pictures?
And what I'm seeing is the picture you had of
Okay,
your
yeah.
quart jars.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So this is my product line right here. And this is one of my clients that is they live out in Orange County. And like literally I can go down the line. One is my red wine, shallot and chive. One is my herb and goat cheese. The other one is roasted garlic, and one is citrus. My red wine and the roasted garlic one is the most popular ones. I sell 8 ounce jars and I sell 5 ounce jars. The 5 ounce jars are good for stocking stuffers. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to be running crazy because people want to get the stocking stuffers. Like literally, they're good for just putting in stockings. The product is really great. It has a long shelf life as well.
Okay.
The shelf life is probably about maybe 60 days in the fridge. You can do, if you freeze it, you can do it for about maybe 3 months or so.
Oh,
This is
wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah, so this is me. I do volunteer work for CCAP. CCAP is I help culinary students in competitions around California as well. So CCAP, and this is one of my clients in Beverly Hills. I do private chefing as well, and I take my product with me to advertise my product as well. Yeah, that's me in Beverly Hills
Oh my
actually
God, you
doing
could
some
just
great.
look at this picture and see you're loving every bit that you're doing. This just resonates with joy.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Lori. I
Oh, look at
appreciate it.
that. Look how beautiful. That is a artwork, okay? That is not food, that is an art presentation.
Yeah, that is dessert trays actually with macaroons and petit fours. Yes, very. And once again, that's in Beverly Hills. That's one of my clients in Beverly Hills. Yes,
Wow.
right. So this is my product. I on my website. If you go to my website, you'll see this. That's my herb and goat cheese, and it's done with toasted brioche, and it's done with strawberry jam. My herb and goat cheese product goes really well with any kind of jams, but it also goes well with sauteed vegetables as well. Yeah.
Wow,
So
beautiful product. Okay,
thank you.
so walk. Oh, and there's the website. Yep, that's a really good one to show as well with all the beautiful products there. And
Thank you.
once again, a can-do attitude. I do my own website too. I'm getting ready to launch a new one. And the thing is, I can sit and think it through and I can see what I want. Is it perfect? Does it have all the bells and whistles? No, but I think it through on what I want to communicate as a message. That's what's so great about entrepreneurship right now is that the technology and capabilities in our DIY are just over the top, things that we
Yeah.
couldn't have done on our own, we can
Yeah.
now. Although I say,
Yeah.
when it comes to finance, tax, and legal things, do get some assistance on that. But things like this,
Please,
you can.
please.
Beautiful. Okay, so you decide to launch the company.
Yeah.
Walk us through. People love to understand like that beginning days. What does that look like? What did you first do? What walls did you hit? Anywhere you want to go with us, but take us back to that point in time in 2022 when you go, I'm in.
Back in 2022, the wall that I hit was I, you know, was I was working for companies, working out in the industry. And I don't care what anybody says, there is a point where you go, I want to work and do my own business.
Yeah. Yep.
The wall that I hit was, how do I make the transition from working for someone else and doing my own business? And
That's a
only
huge
thing
wall.
huge wall. The only thing I can say is reach out to people, do your research, attend webinars like this. Um, it's not going to come to you right away. Be patient. Um, Understand that some things are going to be more challenging than others. Some things are going to come to you really quick, and some things are going to take longer. As long as you have a plan in place, I can't stress it. Plan in place, and to me, my first thing was my business plan. I went and sat down and I did my business plan, and right now my business plan. Um, I still change it. I still change it. I still change it till this day. Even though I have a format of my business plan, I still change it because I go, yeah, this is, and it's from me attending webinars and stuff. And somebody said, well, I have this in my business plan. And I'll go, man, I don't have that in my business plan, but I need to add that to my business plan. So I'm constantly updating my business plan, making sure that you get your paperwork from your licensings to whatever your business is. You got to have some kind of licensing, and to me that's what's important too as well, is your licensing. Once you have your licensing, then that kind of builds your confidence to go, okay, now I can go to the next step.
I
Yeah,
like what you said so far. And you know what? I have too many people that go into this business plan and they get this software and they're plugging in things. And to me, business plans, unless you're going for huge investment capital, and I'm not talking about anybody on this show, then you have certain layouts and formations that you need to follow. But otherwise,
yeah,
I'd rather see somebody start with a blank page and write out all the different disciplines, the marketing, the finance, everything, and create a working document. Because
yeah,
often people start writing these things and they become like this other person, like they're writing a novel rather than they're really intuitively and intrinsically understanding what they're trying to do. So I love that you called it a working document. Also, I want to go back for a second, Derek, is you hit something that's true to my heart is when you identify going from a full-time job to a entrepreneurial venture, you may want to do
yes,
it part-time. You have to realize your financial position and not put yourself in a challenging, scary place because when you're from that motion, you're not creative and it doesn't end well when you just say, I'm going to be passionate and jump in and flow all, throw all sheets to the wind or whatever that expression is. And you seem to have
yes.
understood that. Can you speak to a little bit of that with our audience? Because a lot of them fight with that. Just jump in and hope it works concept.
Well, you said the key words right there. Hope it works. And to me, I think that's not a good space to be in. I hope it works. Even though, you one thing you have to believe that what you're doing is coming from a good space, which it probably is coming from a good space, but you don't want to put yourself in a position where um, it's keeping you up at night. And it shouldn't. The only thing that should be keeping you up at night is how I'm going to, get my marketing done, how I'm going to get customers. And to me, those are good things to keep you up at night.
I
The
agree.
other things, it shouldn't be a good thing to keep you up or how I'm going to pay the bills. Yeah, you're going to have to do a balancing act of I still need to work, but I still need to work on my business. And those things are, you need to keep them separated in order to have some kind of balance. Obviously, you need to spend time with yourself, work, life balance. I think that's important to go, okay, I'm going to balance over here. I'm going to work on my business. And then I'm going to balance, I got to work for someone else still.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and to me, your time is you really have to manage your time. And that means that don't go out to this place, don't go out to this place. I got to work on my business. And that's to me, those beginning stages, those are the things that build strength for you as a business owner to me.
I agree. When I was in my 20s and 30s, I prided myself on the fact that I only need 6 hours of sleep. I ran on caffeine and anxiety, and it kept me going. I really did. I was like, oh, I don't need that much sleep and everything. And I look at it now and I'm like, oh my God, I just ran myself ragged, is the word. I ran myself ragged. And even now, I have this like little voice, and I'll even say it sometimes out loud because I'm just a very energetic person and I can do like a kid, run myself ragged. And I go, Lori, honey, you got to go in the crib and lay down for a little bit, because and
Yes, yes,
wake up
yes,
and suddenly everything that was so hard that I couldn't figure out. I'm like, what exactly was that problem? And so I have learned, I just like, now I take my cat, everybody knows I love my cat. I'm like, baby, we got to go lay down. Mama needs a nap because she's getting ugly. She's going to start
yeah,
crying in her crib. She
yeah,
needs, and
yeah,
so we really need to take care of ourselves. And I
yeah,
I can't tell my audience that enough because I'm
yeah,
the worst at it and now I'm the best at it and I see the
yeah,
difference. You said
yeah,
another word that I want to talk about a little bit, and we were chatting before the show, and that is you said business license, but regulations and the amount of legal documentation. People that follow me a lot hear me say, there's no such thing as a small business. And they go, well, Lori, you always talk about small businesses. And what I'm saying is, from a regulations, from a government standpoint, small businesses don't exist because you're up against as many business license and HR
yeah,
issues you hire
yeah,
and all that, and you are double stacked in the food area.
yes,
Tell us
yes.
about regulations and restrictions and what you've learned.
What I've learned is I want to make sure I know about all of these things, even though I'm kind of stepping away from them, but I want to learn all of them because I want to make sure that if I hire an accountant, what are they doing?
Yep, yep.
What I want to see, you're still the business owner. You're the business owner. You have to go up behind everyone. And then
Good.
also the paperwork, all the licensing and stuff. Um, to me, that means you're running an honest business. That's just from my standpoint that you're running an honest business, you're running a regulated business. And then once again, having these things in place helps you to move forward in your marketing, helps you move forward because your marketing should be in your business plan. Your mission statement should be in your business plan. What else? Your goal setting should be in in your in your business plan. Your what is it? Your EIN numbers should be in your business plan. Your Braun and Dunn number should be in your business plan. Your address should be in your business plan. Your email address should be in your business plan. All these things, they seem like, oh, yeah, I got an email address. Yeah, I can just give it to anybody. Yeah, but email address is a way of communicating with everyone. So to me, that should be in your business plan as well.
You know, it's so funny, Derek. So we're both old enough. You probably know what I mean by this. Back in the days, if somebody handed you a business card, you had a feeling they were legit because it cost money to have business cards made, right? It was a long process.
Yes,
Nobody just
yes, yes,
walked around having business cards, right? Then
yes,
when you could do them off your printer, suddenly a business card held no validity, right? Okay, yeah, you just printed that on your printer. And so
yes,
today, when you see that the company, it doesn't have to be a corporation, it can be a sole prop, but it's the way it presents itself, it's the way it's
yes,
organized, and the way it's got a email address with a website, and the website is up and it's easy to navigate. These are the things that build confidence. Let's go in your marketing plan for a bit now, and actually your
sure,
sales and distribution. So you are in the process where you sell your product off the website, and are there other
yes,
places? And kind of give us an idea of how you started out, how you started making the sales. And you know what people love to understand is the challenges they know of how to get exposure for your product. And you are right in the middle of working on that. So that's a great
I am,
conversation for everybody to
I
have.
am,
Let's talk about the marketing, the sales, the exposures, the trials, tribulations, all of
yeah,
that neat
sure,
stuff that we talk about as entrepreneurs.
sure. The first thing is my product is a certified in-home product, and I make my product in my home. That was a challenge because I thought that once again, I'm a chef. I can just make a product and, start selling it to customers when that's not the reality. The reality is I need to go get certified. I need to get my home or my working space to where it's functionable to be able to produce my product. I don't care if it's clothes or whatever the case it is, your whatever kind of product you have to make sure that you get it gets that certification to produce the product in order to sell it to a customer or produce or get your place licensed
License.
to be able to give it to customers. Once
I
again,
want to mention there, you come under
yeah,
the cottage law industry, right? You're
yes,
and I just want to
exactly,
give those words to, and I love what you're telling. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I want people to understand it's part of the cottage law industry, and there's
correct,
websites you can go to that gives you
yes,
everything you need to know about cottage laws, et cetera, for those that are food. And they differ
yes,
because it depends on what type of food you're handling to whether you can do it at your home and what certification you need. So I just wanted to
correct,
bring that up so people were aware of what
yes.
you're talking about. Please continue.
So once again, the cottage food license, and then after that, now I can actually feel confident to go and produce my product. After that, I needed to find out what is the best equipment, not the most expensive equipment, but what is the most functional equipment that I can get to actually do my product. So I did that, and then now my space is ready for me to produce my product. So I have recipes that I actually work off of, and I don't deviate from my recipes because once again, that's given me consistency to produce my product to my customers, and they'll go, he's being consistent with his product.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
so
important, so important.
it's so important. And so now, once again, my marketing is me going to different webinars, me going to different functions, me having business cards, me having a digital business card on my phone. Anybody that I come in contact now with, I make sure, and to me, I think this is so important too as well. It's not just about my business, like, oh, I got business cards, I'm gonna hand them out to everybody. Yeah, let me hand out business cards. No, you want to engage in the conversation as well, just as normal, like you would do any other conversation. And then that's when you can kind of open it up to talking about your business and saying, hey, I'm entrepreneur, and this is the product that I sell. And that's one way of marketing. Another way of marketing is, once again, going to different functions. There is a, what is it, new economic women's thing. They do a lot of functions. They featured me one time, and that helped my business as well.
All
That
you
helped
need
my
is one
business
of
as
those
well.
events. That's what I find. And that's why I say a lot of times too, Derek, with small
Yeah,
companies, we don't need this tiny little market share to steal. We just need
yeah,
one event and suddenly it can take you down a road and then
yeah,
that opens up and that opens up. And what,
yeah,
what I love about what you're talking about, and I want to point this out in case anybody else is not catching on it, because this is another one of my soapbox things, Derek. I am
yeah,
hearing about the physical activities and the interaction and communication. I'm not hearing, I sit behind my computer on social media and hope I reach people. You are getting out there, you're talking to people, and you don't have a
yeah.
sales background. So I love that you're showing that a lot of times it's making the connection, and one connection with somebody who has exposure to their market can open things up dramatically, because suddenly you're now in front of all these people that you wouldn't have expected to be in front of.
Yes, I'm learning too that it's not even somebody that's doing something similar to what you're doing. It could be somebody totally different,
Yep.
that's doing another different kind of business, and they want to see what kind of business you have as well. And then it's also us as small business people, we want to support each other as well too. And to me, that's real important too. That okay, somebody's buying my product. Guess what? I got to show the same thing to them as well. I need to buy their product too, or buy their service, or somehow kind of engage in the transaction, because that's what it is. It's a transaction that you're actually doing, and you're supporting that other business as well, just as well as them supporting you too as well. And so to me, that's the marketing thing for me, what I do. And I'm constantly growing in reference to how do I market differently? How do I do, what is it, e-commerce? How do I engage in these marketing techniques? And marketing doesn't happen overnight.
It does.
You can go to all these marketing webinars, and which is good because it's giving you information and it's building confidence in you to understand what marketing really is. So I think that's a good thing as well, the marketing aspect of it. And once again, I'm a business owner. I want to know all these things. I don't want to have somebody just do everything for me. I want to engage in the accounting. I want to engage in the marketing. I want to make sure that my P&L statement is where it needs to be at. Am I gonna make mistakes at all of these things? Yes, I am. And I want to make sure, okay, I made a mistake here. I'm gonna take notes on my mistakes. I'm huge on taking notes on the mistakes that I did, because I want to refer back to those and correct those mistakes. And to me, that's important too as well.
I love that. Sadie, we got another great one for the chat. I take notes on my mistakes. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I got two different directions that I wanted to go to. And before I forget, I wanted to go back for a second because as you talked about the cottage industry, and you know that there is a certain quantity of sales that then forgoes the ability to be a cottage, and you have to go to a
Yes,
commercial kitchen, etc. And where I like to go with this is a great opportunity for an example of what I've always talked about. When you're making a product at your home, you obviously don't have all the overhead, but if you grow to a site that size that you have to go to a commercial kitchen, suddenly that overhead comes smack down upon you. And if you didn't
yes,
price your product at the very beginning to have high profit margins to absorb that
yeah,
additional cost, you can't grow. I see that, Derrick, every single day. I tell people, and my phrase I say, when you're a small company, I don't care if you're working out of your home, selling at a farmer's market, if you touch it, it's a cost. If you do it, it's a cost of labor. You build that into your
correct,
financials and you price accordingly. Otherwise, you get
correct.
stuck and can't grow. And I know we talked about that, and this is so important. How did you figure out, you don't have to go through the mechanics, but just a
Right.
conversation to make sure you priced your products accordingly for not only today where you are, but tomorrow
Yeah.
where you want to go?
Um, I just took this is just my technique. What I did is I took the car dealer concept, right? The
Okay.
car dealer concept is okay, as soon as I drive the car off the lot, the car depreciates.
Yeah.
I reversed it. I
Okay.
reversed it and said, okay, I drive the car back in, it's worth more money, right? My product is worth more money as soon as somebody touches it, just like you said, as soon as somebody touches it, as soon as they open it, as soon as they taste it, my product is worth more as soon as, especially the tasting part, because that's where you're really pleasing someone, right? With their palate. They're looking at your product as well, at least for my product. They're looking at it, they're tasting it, they're smelling it, they're trying to, you're getting a reaction from all these human connections that are important once again with upselling your product. And I came up with that thing is like, I'm going to reverse the car selling technique. That's what I
I
did. I'm
love that. I love that.
Yeah,
That's so you're so in tune too, because you're right. Your product is taking in all the human senses. And if they open it and it looks good and it tastes good, but it doesn't smell right to them, it's out of there.
it's out of there. Yeah,
Which is more interesting because it leads into the second thing I wanted to talk about, and this was our conversation. And this is where I think your background helps too from being in a corporate setting because we must
yes,
have policies. And so you have a situation where you're shipping your product and suddenly
yeah,
they have a return situation. You can't
yeah,
resell your product. You can't package it
yeah,
up like Amazon and put it on eBay, right? So in
no,
there you have to make sure you create policies, and this is where our conversation began when we talked privately, is that trying to define between having a policy that's good for your company but having a policy that's proper and respectful for customers. So anywhere
yeah,
you want to go, that from setting policies to how you worked through that, please give us some insight.
yeah. My my experience is I shipped my product through FedEx. I can't tell you how many trips I've gone to FedEx. Have I gone to UPS? Have I gone to the regular mail place and did tests with my product, shipping it to some of my friends just to
Okay.
see. I shipped some of my product to North Carolina, and when my friend got it, right, some of it was broken. Some of my jars were broken. Some of this was still intact. I spent money doing this. And only thing I can say is it helped me to understand that FedEx is the place for me to ship my product because it's
Gotcha.
efficient, it's safe. People, my customers get my product and they get it in the time that they want to get it in. And I have a system where one week I produce, and then the one week I ship out.
Okay. You've got
That's
lots of
my
processes. That's awesome.
Yes, yes. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've gone to FedEx and said, "Hey, can you ship this? Hey, can you ship this?" I've gone to UPS. "Hey, can you ship this?" I wanted to see the margin of error all those companies had in
Mm.
order for me to make a decision on who I was going to use.
Beautiful, Derek. Beautiful. I love this. Most people
Yeah.
just pick something based on cost. You paid the money, shipped it to friends, and got the experience. And then, as
Yes.
we were talking about return policies, you had to sit down and seriously think about what works for me rather than just
Yes.
emulating what somebody else is doing. And you put
Yes.
a lot of thought into that as well.
I did. I had an extensive conversation with you in reference
Yeah.
to return policy, and I appreciate that you gave me the input. I really do, and I came up with a policy that I I don't do the return. I don't.
Yep.
I will do a return, and it's really to make sure that the customer is treated fairly, and my business is treated fairly too. Because I have to, you as a business owner, you're even though you want to satisfy the customer, you still want to make sure that you're protecting your business.
You have to. You have to. I think
Yes.
that because once again, it's being passed down by big companies. Big companies can absorb this because they charge so much more. And so
Yes.
the customers are being trained that I can, not all, but some of them I can buy something from Amazon, use it for a month, and then send it back. And we have to
Yes.
be really clear. And as long as we put those policies ahead of time, people understand it. And the actuality of it is because we care so much and we do things like you did by testing the shipping, our products
Yes.
get there better than big companies. They do. And so
Yes.
the less of the
Yes.
so
Yeah.
I guess what I'm also trying to say is we got to be really careful about not bending over backwards to the point where we harm ourselves. And that's where I was going back to the Macy's. Yeah, they're satisfying the customer, but they're not saying on the very first thing is, oh, let me give you your money back right now and you keep the product and don't worry about it. No, they are also protecting their bottom line at the same time. And I think you
Yeah,
can
but
do both.
yes, because they have a coupon system where they retain customers. Yeah, Macy's has a coupon system where they retain customers, and to me, it's a good policy to retain customers. If something is not correct with Macy's, they'll let you return it. If they can't get you something, believe you me, they're going to give you some kind of coupon or some kind of rebate or something like that to retain the customer.
Yep, they're going to
And
keep you buying from them. Yep.
yes, exactly. And that's my policy as well, is I just try and make sure that's why I did all the testing with my product to make sure that I retain customers, because that's what I was really ultimately thinking about was my customer.
Yeah. Okay, so in the few minutes, let's do the dream big, Derek. Where are you heading with the company? What do you see? What's your goals? What are the things that keep you up
So
at night excited?
I have posted on my website in late 2025. I'll come out with a whole new line of more butters, but it's gonna be more. My base is gonna be coconut oil. Yeah, my base is gonna be coconut
Oh,
oil. Yeah, yeah. So that's gonna be my new line of products. Is using coconut oil as the base, because coconut oil is real healthy, and people are going towards more healthy products as well. So yes,
I've fallen in love with coconut and coconut oil and everything coconut, and I never, ever, ever liked coconut when I was a kid, but I now have really enjoyed it and start mixing it with anything, which you talk about, and I didn't bring this up at the beginning, but you have a love of taking just unique flavors and mixing things together. You guys love to
yes,
tell me in the chat of, you guys remember being a kid and you took like peanut butter and lettuce and made a sandwich and ate it and said it
right.
was the thing to do. Was that you did what guy? Okay, guy in the chat, guys. What are the weird things you combined as a kid thinking it was the coolest thing? Is that how you started combining the weird foods and then just got a essence for it? Where did you get this curiosity to combine things like you have?
I think it was just from me, traveling and working at different restaurants. And, I worked from French restaurants to Italian to Mediterranean to just small little cafes, American food, California food, and I think that's where the creativity come from. Just being exposed to all of these different cuisines, and yeah, balancing those flavors. And every one of us, I don't care who it is, every one of us have creativity in them. Whether
We
if you're an
do.
architect, whether if you're a licensed cosmetologist, whether if you're, and that creativity is built inside of us.
I
So
love
yeah,
creativity, and I think that if everybody got up every morning and said, "What can I create in the world today?" It would just
yes,
be everybody be empowered and excited. I always say that I'm not saying childish, but be childlike. I try to be childlike. And
yes,
the older I get, the more childlike I like being.
yes, yes.
Okay, I can't believe we are out of time, Derrick. We're going to have you back on. Any last words you'd like to leave with our audience?
I would just like to say that don't quit. Don't quit, don't quit, don't quit. No matter how hard the struggles are, don't quit. Keep doing what your passion is. Reach out to people as well to get assistance. Stay humble, stay attentive, um, just stay relentless, and know that you're going to have some kind of struggle, and that struggle you'll be able to build on that struggle. But your business is your business, and protect your business, be happy with your business, and just be the voice of your business. I appreciate that you have me on the show. I am so glad that you just invited me, and I'm just so honored. Thank you very much.
Oh, I am just pleased as can be. I feel like this has been a beautiful, inspirational conversation, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. And this is why I always say, and I put out there all the time in the chat, if you guys want to come on the show, it is not, oh my God, I made it, I'm success, and look at how big bad I am. No, it's look what I'm doing, because that's what we all do. It goes back to the competition. If we can inspire and elevate everybody, it is just
Yes,
beautiful. I thank you
yeah,
for your who you are as a being, your humbleness, your honesty, and I
thank you.
really appreciate the audience that is always with us every single week. So,
Yeah.
unfortunately, we're out of time like it always happens. I look up. So, Sadie, I'm going to bring you back in to close us out, and I'm going to let everybody know Sadie's going to stay on. She's going to make sure. Look at in the chat, you are being loved in the chat, Derrick. Take a look at that. You hit to everybody. So you make sure just I don't see it because I see this in host and panel, but I don't. You if you don't hit everybody, we all don't get to see it. But beautiful
Right.
words are said in the chat. So, oh, Sadie, let's bring you back in, and Sadie's going to stay a little bit longer. Make sure you get Derrick's contact information, my contact information. But is your mouth watering,
Yes.
Sadie?
Well, I mean, for me, what I was just thinking, I was like, I just love how he mixed like just real talk, where he was like milking the cows, and he's like, "Oh, and my P&L." I was like, "Oh, okay." Milking cows
Thank
to
you to
P&L.
everyone. Really, thank you to everyone
Keeping
in the
it
chat.
real.
Thank you. Anybody who wants to reach out to me, they're more than welcome to.
Please do, because like I keep telling you guys, together, all of us, all our small businesses, we're going to unite, we're going to hold hands, and we are going to elevate everybody. And we're going to do it honestly, with humility, and with
Yes,
excitement, and Derrick, with creativity.
correct, correct. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
So with that, I need to say goodbye for this week. Thank you, Derrick. Sadie staying
Thank you.
behind. Do reach out to Derrick, reach out to myself. Thank you to our frequent flyers here every week and those who joined us. Join us next week for another episode of Small Biz Talks with your host, Lori Williams. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.